I hope you'll bear with me. I'm dealing with a cold, and the amount of oxygen making its way to my brain is not what I suspect it should be. But we do have some things to talk about. It's Monday. That means we've had the press conferences that are now all on one day. So I'll be calling this section Monday Mutters from now on, I think. Covering the things you probably are most interested in at the beginning, if you haven't already heard. As far as injuries, Milam is expected to be back. He probably still needs another day or two. Burks practiced today, limited contact. That's a big improvement. Good chance he'll be back. Rimac out for at least another week. Could be back for UCF, maybe longer. Tyreek Austin Cave practiced today, which has been a rarity. I guess we will wait and see how long it is before he is actually ready to come back and play. I think it has already stretched out a lot longer than anybody expected, but you do get setbacks. If you wondered about Justin Johnson this past week, he was sick, did not practice all week, did not travel to the game. Let's see, I think that covers the health issues. So mostly good news on that front. If you can say anything good came out of the Houston game, we did not have any more major injuries. Let us hope that is the continuing trend. We need to get as healthy as we can, but as healthy as we can isn't going to be all that healthy since so many of the guys are already out for the season. On the Hail Mary, which again, Brown stressed that was not the game, the play that lost the game. There was no the play. If only things had been that good. They do have two different units to use on a Hail Mary situation depending on the situation. In this case, they had their regular defense on the field because injuries caused too many gaps in the other grouping they would have used. Plus, what he referred to as their vertical players are all on the defensive team anyway. Hershey McLaren can outjump everybody, including Taylor. Brown does not use offensive players on the Hail Mary team. And for those who mentioned Gronkowski getting used on the Hail Mary, Brown also pointed out that in at least one situation when Gronkowski was used, they still lost. Height is one thing. It is not everything. And how tall you start is not always directly related to how high you reach. So the team that needed to be in there was in there. And again, if you watch, one player got as high as the Houston player. Just did not manage to have position or get a hand on the ball. Didn't try to catch the ball, and again, you're not supposed to catch the ball, just did not manage to get a hand on the ball before the Houston player tipped it. Okay, I know some people are still going to be saying the same thing, but what the heck. And I will be consulting my notes frequently tonight because I'm not going to be remembering this. Just trying to remember to breathe every now and then. And of course, Brown said a lot of things that we already knew. We could see for ourselves that we lost our way. All of the things we'd been doing right, discipline, lack of penalties, toughness, did wrong. He takes the blame. Thinks a lot of it was how he handled the bye week. Thought that giving the guys, a little time off, taking it easier on the first practices was the right thing to do, particularly because they were beat up. He thinks maybe that was the wrong decision and should have just gone ahead and practiced hard, practiced normally. Well, you do your best. Sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes you're right and it still doesn't work. On both special teams and defense, the best players played badly. And there was a big part of the problem. You need your best players to pull you through, especially when you are in a down moment. And it didn't happen. Best players had bad games. Exactly why? Not clear. Is it because of the way practice was run? Is it just the emotional stress of how they won the previous 4 games? It's a lot of things. The key is trying to make sure it doesn't happen again. We'll see. I do think this team will knuckle down and focus rather than cracking. And again, this is a case where chemistry matters. If you don't have chemistry, the team cracks or the team quits. The team played badly, and I think that will bring them back in focus. With the offense, Brown said, it was what I thought it could be, which I think describes, that's what I thought it could be. It's what I think a lot of us hoped it would be. Now, of course, that refers more to the passing game than to the running game. Houston, especially second half, shut down the run game better than most other teams have, and it hurt. Of course, that's why they went to the passing game more. The intent to open it up was already there. They opened it up more and had success because Houston was focused on the run. Also had success because Carter was playing a lot inside, and they gives him a little better open start, a little more space. Also found it more useful in the running game. Makes me wonder what the situation is with Noah Massey, because that is one of the reasons he was brought in, was to have a bigger presence in the slot to go along with the smaller guys. Gallagher blocks hard, but he's not big. So look for Carter to play inside much of the time, not necessarily all the time. I think they do still want to use him outside. They want to move him in and out and to either side and make it harder for defenses to focus on him. Clearly the results last night, or not last night, but the Houston game were very good. Not perfect. There were still some misses, but pretty darn good. And basically with the Houston game, Brown said, we're going to learn from it and move on. He said, it is. And, he did not want to make a big deal out of it or compare it to some of, emotional losses but at the same time it is an emotional loss. So there's a process. And in this case, it was first you grieve, then you own it, then you move on and fix it. So as far as he was concerned, the grieving was the first day, and they have since basically owned it and started to move on. It's Oklahoma State from here on out. No more talking about Houston, although I might before this video is over. I'm sure I will. Yeah, Garrett Green obviously had a really, really good game. And of course, things that we don't necessarily know as the game goes on, they were giving him a lot of read options, and he did well. So decision making was the best it's been. He did miss some passes he should have hit. No two ways about it. But he played not only as well as we thought he did, but perhaps better. And Brown did discuss the problem that the energy level that is key to Green's success is also key to his problems. So learning to tap that energy when needed, control it when needed. Maturity. He is, to gray-haired people like me, a kid. So if he continues to mature and progress, you're going to see a lot more games like the fourth quarter minus the penalty. He thinks they've pretty well found the right rotation with the wide receivers, using about 6. Is still thinking about the rotation situation at running back. It's not working as they had kind of hoped it would. Talking about shortening that rotation, but whether that means using fewer runners or giving them longer stretches to see who is hot, but getting them into better rhythm. Now, Chad Scott mentioned that they really were trying to get all 3 of the available backs into the game early, get them going, see who was working best. Didn't work out. So they're going to see with that. Now, having Milam back, the outside zone reads to the left should work much better. Malone did a good job, mostly on the pass blocking, but he is not necessarily as good at setting the edge as Milam is. That's why he's not the starter normally. Hey, a lot of what they were doing, especially with the motions or when they do or don't play with a faster tempo, is going to depend on the opponent, the defensive style. They use what works. So the motion partly is intended to get the players off their reads. It's not just revealing what the defense is planning to do, but if you get the defense paying too much attention to the motion and not focusing on their reads, you've got an advantage. And with Houston's defensive style, it was something that they thought could work with other teams. So if the defense just lines up their way and doesn't worry so much about what the offense is doing, motion doesn't work. So we may see motions like that in future games, but it will be variable. Tempo, they will use it when it seems appropriate. Now, Brown didn't say that. Didn't say this part. This is mine. They may use tempo more as the season progresses if they are feeling that the offense is running smoothly enough. But tempo is a matter of situation. And of course, what you have to remember with Brown is he plays a lot of situational football. And quite often the fans don't take situation into account. And it's quite often because we don't know the situation. We have to wait for somebody to explain it to us. And certainly can't be waiting for the announcers to explain it to us, because I have yet to see a good announcer this season. They are missing a lot of things. And it's just, of course, there's so many games on so many channels now that you don't have a handful of great announcers who have a huge staff helping them. You have anybody who can put 4 sentences together in a row doing football games. And you can't necessarily hire a complete staff for all of them. So we'll see what we've got. Yeah, so definitely don't pay too much attention. If the announcers tell you, gee, why are they doing this, or they shouldn't be doing this, remember that the announcers don't necessarily know the situation any more than we do. So we wait for Monday to find out. Let's see. Yeah, one thing Brown mentioned, looking back at the film, there are about 15 plays on offense, about 20 on defense, about 6 on special teams. So we're looking at about 41 plays that lost the game. 41 plays. That's bad. Yeah. It was not the Hail Mary. It was not the interception. It was not the dropped interception. It was all of those and more. Now, Jordan Leslie said about 27 on defense. And he was counting third down conversions. Times they should have gotten off the field. Times that the defense didn't stay aware of down and distance. Just a long string of big and small mistakes that cost the game. Shouldn't have been close. And there were the opportunities to put it away early. And again, on the kickoff return for a touchdown, Brown said 3 guys did not get into their zones. Yeah, and of course, that opens up a lot of room. Even Oliver Straw had his worst game, just did not have good hang times. And again, the coverage teams did not have, lane integrity, did not play disciplined football. So it's strange to say that we should have put it away early and say that there were over 40 plays that lost the game, all about one game. But it was that kind of a game. So this should be the outlier. This is not the game that defines, it may be the game that defines the team in the season. Not because of this game, but how they respond to it. I think the team will learn and improve. And Coach Brown says, hey, we are teachers. We are here to to teach them about the game and through the game. That's not the way Brown put it, but I think that's the intent. How you coach determines whether or not the players learn more than just what to do in a football game. They need to learn that. They need to do that. But how they learn it, why they learn it, those are important things too. So I really do think this team, and again I will stress team, not just a bunch of guys dressed alike. As a team, they will come together and get back to the attitude that made them successful for 4 games, plus the improvement. So I do think against Oklahoma State we are going to see better defense, stronger, faster, tougher, and more of the offense like we saw against Houston. I don't think they're going to pass it every down, but I think we will see a more open offense and more of the offense that Brown and Scott have been trying to build. I think we'll win. I think, I see no reason not to, but also have to recognize that Oklahoma State is not the worst team in the Big 12. People thought they were at one point. People thought Iowa State was the worst game in the Big 12, or worst team. And they thought Houston was the worst team in the Big 12. They thought West Virginia was the worst team in the Big 12. I think Cincinnati may have been there at one point. And so far, every team that's been called the worst in the Big 12 this year has proved that they are not the worst in the Big 12. So it continues to be an interesting season, which is part of why we watch the game. Speaking of the game, the Oklahoma State game, if you don't already know, and you should, 3:30 kickoff Eastern Time on ESPN. I will not see you at the game, but I will see the game. I hope. If I get over this cold and still breathing in at least a little bit of oxygen. So thanks for watching. I'll be back later in the week with my Sunday questions. And please click that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, share, tell your friends, hit the notification bell, and do all those kind of good things, and I appreciate it. Now, I may go take some more Benadryl and Sudafed, and I'll talk to you when I wake up. So long.